Hola, hola. Happy Wednesday. Happy Cafecito Day, because this is our Cafecito Power Hour. Happy Dia de los Muertos. I know a lot of people are celebrating that. So welcome to November 1st. We are almost at the end of the year. So this is, we got to get moving on our stuff. Yes, we do. Guys, I am so excited today to introduce Dr. Carmen Delia Ortiz. We are going to be talking about a powerful subject because we talk about financial planning and wealth building and generational wealth and how do we do that. But there are some blocks that Carmen brought up, and I think we need to talk about those. I think today is a perfect segment that we're going to be doing. Carmen, can you introduce yourself real brief to our audience? And welcome.
Bienvenidas a todas. Hola. Estoy aquí en Cuenca, Ecuador. So I am from Puerto Rico, and just like you, Sandra, la isla de Puerto Rico, donde ya se ven las luces de las Navidades. And I have this story around money that we don't have time for right now, but all I can tell you is that very strangely, something that I could not even understand, when I was at the peak of my career as a college professor, teacher trainer in Manhattan, in the best teacher training institution on the planet. I don't say that. That's their reputation. It's called Bank Street College of Education in Manhattan. And I was at the peak of my career there when one day I woke up and I'm like, there is absolutely something wrong with this picture, because I was like 31 years old. I had my PhD since I was like 24. I was at the peak of my career, and I was making very little money as a college professor at this worldwide prestigious institution. And number two, the little money that I was making, I didn't know how it worked, what it was about, how it functioned, how to invest it, how to prepare for my future. I had no idea. And I look around, and even though most of the professors there were of wealth, they had some money because most of them were Jewish. Talking about Jewish, most of them were Jewish, and so they had some money. And but they didn't know either. They were as lost as I was, particularly the women. The college professor women, because I would talk to them. I said, I don't know about what I'm doing. Do you know what you're doing? No, we don't either. So I said, okay, so there's something very strange here. With all these, professionals, and I know that many of you that are listening are professionals. You got a corporate job, you're a doctor, an MD, a dentist. I don't know what you do in your life, but the point is that if you're here, you're most probably a powerful Latina that, as we say in Puerto Rico, se quemó las pestañas. What that means is we studied to be prepared, right? To be prepared for the profession. Why? So that we, number one, could prosper ourselves, feed our families, feed ourselves, right? And have some type of financial security in our lives. And number two, perhaps to serve the world, to do social good. Okay, that was my case when I studied education. I wanted to do social good through education. But that's why we go to college, right? Well, how is it going for us? How is it going for us? Most Hispanic families in the United States don't have an emergency fund. If they've got $1,000 to cover an emergency, that's a lot. So what are we doing? So what I did was, Sandra, and as part of this introduction, I said, I'm going to do something about it. I'm just going to quit education, and I'm going to go off, and I'm going to learn all about money. And that's what I did. I went to Columbia Business School. I studied money, studied corporate finance. I went to Wall Street. I consider myself now a recovering in Wall Street investment banker. I say recovering because I would not touch that whole industry with a 10-foot pole now. And, so I did all of that. And then I started a financial planning company. I left Wall Street and I started my own, the first Hispanic-owned personal financial planning company on the planet. And this was in 1986 that I started this company. In fact, it got incorporated in 1988, but I started in 1986. And ever since then, I have been passionate about what I call real financial planning. Real. Because many of us here right now, you believe that you are engaged in personal financial planning. Why? Because you perhaps have an investment in an IRA, or maybe you're participating in a 401k, or maybe you, I don't know, you have somebody that helps you with your tax returns and helps you out with tax deductions. Okay. Or maybe you bought a life insurance policy. Okay. And you think you're set and you've done financial planning. So what I'm saying is that is not financial planning. That is just purchasing of products. Yeah, it reminds me of when I came to Cuenca. I'm in Ecuador, right? And when I came to Cuenca, I was doing digital marketing consulting. And I would ask somebody, that business owner here, hey, do you have an online presence with your business? Are you online with your business? And their answer was, oh, sure. Here's my link to my Facebook page. So they would open up a Facebook page, and that was their digital marketing. That was their online presence, having a Facebook page. Yeah. Same thing with financial planning. Of course, I've got my life insurance and I've got my, my 401k. That's my financial plan. No, that is not financial planning. Do you have your durable power of attorney? Do you have your healthcare proxy? Do you have long-term care considerations? Do you know your number? Meaning, what number do you need in order to feel that you are financially independent? What's your number?
Yeah, I love that I love that you touched on that, because how can we address that? Considering there are multiple products that can help us build wealth, and we may not be able to tap into all of them. What do you think that, like, to begin, especially how you mentioned, like, less than whatever percentage we have, less than $1,000 in the bank for an emergency fund. Hopefully people have more, but I know that that's a statistic. So if that's the case, if somebody is just a professional in her career, trying to level up, doing her thing, what do you think is the first step into financial planning?
So there you go. So we're talking about real financial planning, the real deal financial planning. And your question reminds me when I went to Mexico in 2018 to talk about real business, a real business on the cloud. And someone asked me exactly that same question. Said, hey, and how do we start a real business? And my answer was, and everybody was like in shock. My answer was, the first thing is you have to know who you are. You have to know yourself. You have to know all about yourself, your self-knowledge, so that you know exactly what it is that you want to create in your life before you go off and start a business. Same thing here, Sandra, same thing here. What is the first step? You have to know yourself. So real financial planning, it's heart-centered. It's life-centered. It's not money-centered. Because when you asked me the question, and correct me if I'm wrong, you were thinking, what's the first step regarding money? Right? What's the first step that we take regarding money? No, that's not real financial planning. Yeah. Real financial planning, the first step is, who are you? What life do you want to create? That's why this whole thing that I'm now involved in, this project, is called Transcendent Financial Living. Why? Because it's what we're saying is that a real, prosperous, thriving life, the life that we all seek and deserve, includes finances, but it transcends it. But we can't get to our transcendent financial life, right? Which is a life of total abundance consciousness. It's a life where we, and as I mentioned in the description of this event, where we are committed to the well-being of all. When I say all, I'm talking all with a capital A. And many of us here are social doers, right? We're out there doing social good. We're like, yes, I've got a nonprofit, I've got a foundations, I've got this, I'm giving over here, I'm giving over there. But the question is, can we in fact use our energy, because it's all energy. Money is equal time, time equals energy. It's all the same thing. So can we use our energy, which means our time, our gifts, our resources, and our money to do social good, which means to take care of the well-being of others, which could include our children and our grandchildren and our parents. How many Latinas are in the sandwich, situation, taking care of our kids, taking care of our parents. We take care of our communities. We donate to the church. We do this, we do that. But we don't take care of ourselves. And that includes, in the real financial planning, it includes taking care of our holistic self, not just our money self, our mental health, our physical health, our spiritual health. Why? Because and why money cannot be left out of the equation? Because if we're concerned about our well-being in order to then serve the well-being of others, including the planet, our community, our country, etc., in order to do that, we need to focus on our well-being first. It sort of reminds me, when you're in an airplane, right? And what do the stewardess says? What does she say? Put your mask first, right? Before you go off and help other people put their mask on. Yeah. We got to take care of our holistic well-being. But many of us, are, how can I say, it's easier like to say, I'm going to eat well, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to take care of my physical health, maybe even meditate. I'll start meditating, take care of my spiritual health, my mental health, try to relax, do some deep breathing. And many of us that are concerned with our well health and committed to it will do all of that. But there's a little piece of well-being that somehow we just put sand on it. And we don't even want to go there. And it's called financial well-being. That's what it's called, financial well-being. Okay, so the question is that, going back to your question, how do you start? You start, and this is my invitation to everybody that's listening. If what I'm saying to you resonates, and you're interested in creating a transcendent financial life that is accomplished via different vehicles, including real financial planning, which means, again, it's heart-centered, it's life-centered. It's not focused on money, it's focused on your life.
Yeah. Okay? That just made me think of what you just said. Just like we value so much other things and other situations. We think by giving to the church or giving to this charity that somehow that energy is going to fulfill the gap and void that we may be having, but it isn't like that. I love that it's the internal, what are we doing? Number one, for our mental state of being, right? Because just now, I think in the past several decades, we're learning that mind, what we're thinking, our thoughts actually create the physical reality around us. So even if we can have a lack mentality and be donating to the church, that does not mean, or whatever charity you want, that does not mean that that's going to circle back to you if our mindset is not in the right place. So I love that you're saying that, because everything empieza con la mente. Everything starts in the mind, how we think, how we approach things. And if we're not thinking in a positive, in a I'm worthy, in a self, just self-adoration for our beingness, for the divineness of what we are, we're never gonna reach those pinnacles of financial well-being. We won't even be able to resonate and vibrate with that. So help us do
we're that. We're also going to be in the I'm not enough conversation. And as long as we're in the I'm just not enough and enough intelligent enough, money-wise enough, prosperous, whatever, I'm not enough conversation, we're going to be in scarcity and we're not going to move forward. So in transcendent, I'm going to move now from real financial planning to transcendent financial planning, because I believe that transcendent financial planning, which is what I'm leading, this global movement, which is just getting started. I want to create a global movement of people that are engaged in creating their transcendent financial life through transcendent financial planning. And transcendent financial planning includes all of what the standards board, the international standards board that regulates the behavior and the actions of certified financial planners, which are the people that are trying to do financial planning, traditional financial planning in the world. They're called certified financial planners, CFPs. I was the first Hispanic to acquire that certification in 1988. The first Hispanic, male or female, to become a certified financial planner on the planet.
Awesome.
Okay, so I practiced this thing called financial planning for 20 years, and what I discovered is that's not even real financial. So the standards are minimal. You know, when you talk about standards, yeah, well, somebody's got to have standards, but they're minimal. They're not as deep as they should go, because they focus on the money aspects of your life, of the whole situation. They don't go holistic. They don't connect money with your mental well-being, with your physical well-being, with your spiritual well-being. The Certified Financial Planning International Standards Board, it's not going to go there. Financial planners that are CFPs, they're not going to go there. They're going to say, what? That's what they're saying today. What? I have enough trouble figuring out how to help my clients with traditional financial planning, going through all their components of financial planning of their money. And now you're going to tell me that I really got to know them, and I got to connect with their heart, and I got to really get into what their life is all. Are you kidding me? And they're not going to do that. They feel uncomfortable, and they're just not going to do that. So this thing that I'm calling transcendent financial planning, that is heart-centered, that is life-centered, that it focuses on the well-being of all, okay, does not exist.
Yeah.
I am creating it. It does not exist.
So
I'm bringing it to the world.
Yeah, can we break that down? Because let's make that tangible. How can, when we think about well-being for all of us, I think, especially Latinas, right? We're very passionate. So we have like this, I wish I could save the world mindset, sometimes. But so what would be that first, how that first conversation or that first in way to know, okay, I know what my goals are. I know where I want to be when I'm retired. I know, if I retire, when I'm ready to retire, I know what I would need to feel happy and to pass something like down to, your kids or, my son in my case. But, and, I feel energetically connected to understanding how our brain works, right? So I'm very intentional, like when I'm thinking negative thoughts, which happens a lot, right? We have 80,000 negative thoughts a day, or 80% of our thoughts are negative out of the 60,000 thoughts we have. So we have to be recognizing when we are thinking like we are less than what we are, and really learn to shut those off, monitor, understand this is a negative thought, and you go down rabbit trails, right? When we start thinking of, yo no tengo esto, and I have to do this, and I have to go to do that, and all of these things, and we start getting worldly, be in this physical world, versus understanding how we can tap into that mental transcendental viewpoint of how do we live in this world with an intention, with a serious intention of directing our mind to create the life that we want, especially when it comes to building wealth and understanding. The thing, what I've noticed is people say they want to build wealth, but they don't take any action to learn about it. So I'm glad that that you're bringing this up. This is great.
Yep. Yeah. And okay. So, and to your point, so this first step, it connects to a course that I recently completed last week. It's called Finances and Spirituality. I took that course, Finances and Spirituality, and I learned a lot. And basically, the first we are doing this, Sandra, and everybody that's listening, through something that we're creating, my partner and I, my team. It's called a 10-step transcendent financial planning self-directed system. Why does it have to be a self-directed system in order for you to engage in this? Well, first of all, because transcendent financial planning doesn't exist. So there's no access to it. And that's the financial planning that I'm saying that everybody needs and deserves, even though you may not be aware of it yet. That is the type of planning that you need. And because it doesn't exist, we're creating a self-directed system where anybody, regardless of economic status, regardless of nationality, of culture, of language, gender, sexual orientation, disability or non-disability, whatever, is going to have access to this beautiful thing called the Transcendent Financial Planning process through a self-directed system. And the first step reminds me of finance and spirituality, because the first step is all about our relationship with our money, which, and we cannot define, we cannot identify, crystallize what is our relationship with our own money or with money in general if we're not clear about the relationship that we have with the most important person on the planet. Who is the most important person on the planet?
Ourselves.
Exactly. If you're not clear about the relationship that you have with yourself, there's no way you can be clear about the relationship that you have with your money. Therefore, the transformation of our relationship with our money goes together with our personal and spiritual transformation. They go together. So the first step in this thing called self-directed transcendent financial planning that we're creating, the first step is really connecting and discovering who we are, what is the relationship that we have with ourselves, what is the relationship that we have and want to have with the planet, who do we want to become in this world, how do we want to serve this planet, and how do we, in order to do that, how do we ensure our own well-being, which is our relationship with our health, physical health, mental health, including financial health. That's the first step in the system. And until we go through that first step, we're not ready for the second step, which is then when we get into what are our passions and our life's purpose, and how does that relate with our money, and how much money are we going to need in order to live the life that we want to live. And now we get, into the weeds of the money conversation, like in step 2, you see. And then we go through the 10 steps. The 10 steps include all that you would find in traditional financial planning in terms of the standards of the International Board of Certified Financial Planners, which is huge. That includes everything. That includes everything. That includes debt, credit management, cash flow management, all the insurances, estate planning, tax planning, retirement planning, college planning. Okay, I can go on and on and on. But all of those aspects of financial planning are included in our system. But again, our system transcends all of that, because we keep going back to the being. It's the money it's our money as it relates to who we are looking to become. Who do we want to be on this planet, and the relationship with that. So you may, for example, say, hey, I want to leave my job, and I want to see how much I got. I want to see, where's my 401k, my investments, and my this and my that. And I'm out of there. I want to start a business. I want to move to Ecuador like I did 6 years ago. I want to move to Spain. Well, how do you do all of that if you don't go through a process such as this one? I don't know. It's just going to be completely full of unnecessary mistakes and errors.
Or they won't even take that risk. They won't even take that chance. And then and life passes by, and that dream and that vision that you had of living in another country comes and goes. And you're at a point and you're like, okay, well, when do I start? And I think even for our group, and we have a lot of women that are middle age, right? 40 plus, 50 plus, you know, and a lot, like for me, I'm just investing now because yo no sabía what to do. And I didn't have guidance prior to this, right? So I'm like interested in all of this because I want to know about index funds. I want to know how to I want to know what you learned from Wall Street. You know, I want to learn, you know, what is it that we especially in the Latino community, that we don't talk enough about because for whatever reason, you know, you know, I think this is a subject that we are now getting more heavily involved in. But for women that are in their 40s, mid 40s, 50s, 60s, who are worried because they didn't start when they were 26, putting $100 a week in an account or, you know, or a month, you know. So do you have any thoughts on that, on like what women can do to, yes, maybe they have self-reflected, maybe they're at the point where they know who they are, pero no saben qué hacer. They don't know exactly what is the next step and who do I trust and how do I know that's the right decision, and plus what's my return? You know, we're always like, okay, which one? If I have $1,000 to invest, ¿a dónde lo pongo? You know, so I think I love that you are saying, listen, there's some introspection that needs to happen. We need to find out really who we are and what our intentions are in this world in order for us to make financial decisions about where we decide to put our money. And
how do we decide once we're clear who we are and
yeah,
who we want to become and who we want to be in this world? That will lead the decisions from a conscious level as to how we spend our money, which is the number one issue with our financial security, is how we spend it. That's
yeah,
the number one. It's not how much we make.
yeah.
Sometimes we say, if we only could double our salary, I'll be fine. No, you won't. You know you won't.
You'll
Because
spend twice as much.
I'll give you 6 months and you'll be in a bigger hole than where you are now.
Yeah.
So how you spend your money, how we spend it. Number two, how we save our money. Number three, how we invest our money, again, consciously.
Yeah.
And number four, how we gift our money, because there's a philanthropy in every single one of us. And how do we do that? How do we gift our money from consciousness, from our conscious self, which means from our values, very clear about our values. And when you get into investment, Sandra, I mean, we could have a whole cafecito just talking about what are we doing with our investments. Those of you that have money in your 401k, do you know if your money is harming the world? Do you know if your money, the way you invest your money in your 401k, do you know if it's hurting animals, if it's hurting the environment, if it's against social justice and equality? You know, do you know that? And if you don't, then that means these are unconscious investments that we're making. A transcendent financial life is a life where everything that has to do with our money is come from our consciousness and aligns with our values.
Yeah.
That's a transcendent financial life. How does that sound to you?
Oh my God, amazing. And I'm like, we're already running out of time. And I'm like, there's just so much more that we need to go into. That is so important because I've often wondered that, you know, especially when you have those like index funds and stuff, and it's a myriad of funds and organizations. And I'm like, well, I don't want to support that organization. They tear down trees and they, you know, all the palm trees and they're just, you know, damaging our earth in some way. And I don't want to support that. So por eso that keeps me idle, because I don't have enough knowledge to make the right decision. Yeah, and I think that but that hinders a lot of people, you know, and I think that that's a big problem is we don't have the time. We're already inundated with time. Like at the time, is November 1st, right? It just yesterday was March. You know, it seemed like. So as we are like feeling like time is going, we have so many things to do in a day. How do we, and it's probably connecting with somebody like you, to really understand, okay, what is a conscious decision when it comes to financial planning? How do I find products and services that align with my beliefs, pero también generate, you know, revenue so that you can build something meaningful, right?
Absolutely. So it's really, so to conclude, we don't trust, we don't know, we don't feel competent in our knowledge and our understanding. We don't trust the advisors out there, the people that are selling this stuff. We don't trust them. Okay. And so therefore, because we don't understand and we don't trust, what do? Nothing. We go about our days operating from an unconscious perspective with regard to our money. This has to stop. We have to wake up. And the way we wake up is this is an option, through Transcendent Financial Planning. I'm inviting all of you to go to transcendentfinancialplanning.com and learn what we're up to and what we're doing. We love to meet you.
Awesome. Guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the show for today. This is so profound. It really just allowed me, I mean, even though, I realize how it creates matter, I never actually thought about it with intention to really be in the things that I'm investing in. I mean, I do to a sort, but I don't know enough, so it's minimal, until we feel that. I
tell you, people that join this movement, the Transcendent Financial Living movement.
Yeah.
I declare, and I believe, and I declare that after they've been in the movement for a while, in the system, they've gone through the 10 steps system, and they're with us, and they're committed to Transcendent Financial Living. Sandra, you that are listening to me, you will know more about money, how money works, and how to secure your well-being holistically, including your money from a conscious perspective and according to your values, more than most financial planning and financial advisor professionals available or out there, because they don't know this stuff either. The really important stuff, they don't know it either. It's like the blind leading the blind. They don't know it. All they know is, oh, this is the hottest product. Come over here, sign over here, give me your money. That's what they know. How to sell and how to earn commissions.
Yeah.
But this stuff, what I'm talking about here, they don't know it either.
So I love it.
And it's not rocket science. It's something that is super simple, super simple. I want to share the story and then we can quit. Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
So my first financial planning client, he had $700,000. He comes into my office in Manhattan, and for financial planning, this was in 1986. He says to me, Carmen, how much experience do you have in doing this personal financial planning thing? How much? I said, none. You're my first client. What do you mean, how much experience? None. You're my first client. This is like my first day.
Yeah.
And it was a couple, and they looked at me. They were Americans, Jewish people. They're like, what? What are we doing here? I said, but wait, hold it. Don't go anywhere. Because I come from Wall Street. I've spent the last 3 years learning all this stuff about money, and frankly, personal financial planning, I'm overqualified for it. So even though you're my first client, there's no one right now in New York City that can do a better job for you than I. And they're like, they just sat down and they became my first client.
I love it. That's such a great story. Wow. This is very, very enlightening. We got some comments. Our ignorance transcends to our children. We must get smarter. That is so true. More Latinas need to join the financial planning industry so that we can establish trusting relationships. Our financial planners are also stewards of our money. For sure. And Rachel said thank you. Lidrenia said thank you. Carmen, this has been a pleasure. I can't wait to do more things with you. This has been a great reminder to us to really be intentional and to tap in, connect with one another, connect with Carmen, really understand, are we fully self-aware, and how can we really tap into the power of our beingness so that we can create transcendental wealth.
That's it right there in our transcendent financial life. Thank you so much, United Latinas and Sandra, for this opportunity to share with you.
Thank you. All right, guys, join us next week and we will see you next time.
Thank you.